Welcome to That One Time with Adam Metwally, the podcast bridging the gap between health, hustle, and happiness. We're at Podcast for a While in Chelsea, New York City. I'm with Chris Murch, aka Nigel Roxbury, content creator, host of the show Dumb Hot, sports commentator, collegiate athlete turned rapper, published poet, former New York City nightlife, former New York City nightlife personality, and now sobriety advocate. And we're going to get to know him over the next 10 minutes ahead of the full episode later on this week.
I didn't realize I was that much of a multi-hyphenate. You brought up things I haven't thought about in years, man.
You are a Renaissance man and a creative entrepreneur. Let's play a game. Best, worst, and weirdest dumb hot moment.
Okay, the weirdest dumb hot moment actually happened 2 days ago when we were filming. We had a guest on who was so obviously high on either a hallucinogen or like very heavily medicated weed. And he comes in, we're doing another guest. He's like looking around at all the trees like before we even do anything with him. And we're like, oh, okay, well, we'll see how this goes. We're doing two concepts. In the first concept, he says something that's like a little off color, but you know, we would edit it out anyway. Like it was a good episode besides like the one thing he said. And when we're about to do the outro of the episode, he just gets really bug-eyed and is like, I gotta go. I can't do this anymore. And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, that thing I said, I can't believe I said it. I'm so sorry. I just can't do this anymore. And we're like, dude, we're going to cut it out. We have this other thing to shoot. Like, don't leave, don't go. And he was just so adamant. He was like, you can use it if you want. I signed a waiver, blah, blah, blah. But like, it was it was one of those experiences where it just shakes you like a little bit because it's so unexpected and weird, you know? And I forgot about it, you know, after like an hour, but it was in the moment, quite the odd experience. So that's the weirdest and the worst. The best is probably having a company like Now This believe in me as a host, believe in my concept that I created myself and shot and did myself for the first 8 months of its life, believe in me enough to take it on to a bigger network and establish like a business relationship with me, I would say is the best part.
Sick. Ask me one dumb hot style question that you think our audience would love.
Okay, so how well would you say you know United States geography?
Terribly. Like
Terribly.
10%.
Do you know what Mount Rushmore is?
Yes.
Who are the presidents on Mount Rushmore?
No fucking idea.
No shot?
Franklin D. Roosevelt?
Incorrect.
Damn
he is
it.
not one of them.
Think the first one?
And that is?
Abraham Lincoln?
He is on that, but he's not the first one.
Okay, Abraham Lincoln.
You got Abraham Lincoln.
George Washington. No.
Yes, George Washington. He's the first president. Okay, now you got two more. One of which is like a really household early president name. He was the third
Richard
president.
Nixon.
No. Richard Nixon.
Wrong household.
Maybe in his own mind. One was the third president, and then there's only one president on Mount Rushmore that was in the 20th century.
So a niche one.
And a really popular item is named after him. This one is really well known as like an old head. He was like one of the founding fathers, third president. This one there is something really well known that you give to a child that's named after him.
Nah, I don't know.
Thomas Jefferson.
Oh yeah.
And then what do you give to a child? A toy, right? It's a toy. It's the name of a toy. A teddy bear. Theodore Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt. Right. There we go.
Yeah,
I got him. I promise when you do Dumb Hot, which he's coming on, we'll try to stay away from US and US geography. That was just the first one on my brain.
I feel like I got close-ish.
You got 2 out of 4.
For no idea on what's going on.
That gets you 0 points on Dumb Hot though. You got to get all 4.
Okay, all right. So 1 year sober in New York City. In 15 seconds, what changed most in your health, your career, and your relationships?
Everything is stronger. Physically, I'm stronger because I'm able to maintain a much healthier lifestyle, both with the food that I eat and the nutrition and just the ability to work out. Stronger relationships because I'm able to really be present. And instead of thinking about the next drink, the next line, the next all these things, I'm also I have more time in the day to be there for someone, whether that's remotely over text, in whatever capacity that they would want me in their lives, I'm able to be there.
Great. Overrated or underrated mocktails?
Vastly overrated. I have acid reflux. They put so much citrus in that shit. So overrated. Can't do them.
Non-alc beer.
Overrated. Empty calories for no reason.
Sober October.
The sober dry January, the sober October, I think it's a good start. But if you're just going to go back to binge drinking after it, then overrated. But underrated if you take it as a potential step into having a better lifestyle with alcohol.
Run clubs.
Overrated. I hate running. Despise it. Can't stand it.
6 a.m. workouts.
Overrated, dude. Come on. Not a morning person. I wake up when I want, or when work starts. And
content creator life.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have a job, but like, my job usually starts at 10. So I'm up at like whatever, 9:30. Dude, morning workouts, can't do them. Nope. Next.
Carver bars.
Never been. Overrated. I can't. Here's the thing, as an addict, if anything gets me out of my head, it was great before, but I get addicted to it, so I can't do it.
Got it. Networking breakfast.
Dude, I hate networking. I hate network. I hate when the implication of the event is to network. Get me out of there, dude. Because I don't want to force these things, right? I want it to be really natural, right? Organic, right? And so anything where the focus is networking, no, I don't like the people that go there. No, maybe that's a hot take. I don't know.
Maybe sober dates.
Oh, vastly underrated.
Okay.
Can again really listen. You can give more than you take. You don't fall in like what I used to call drunk love, where, oh, do I really like this girl, or did I have 3 or 4 drinks and we got drunk and we were more flirty, yada yada. You really get to learn more about the person, really listen more, and honesty is really at the forefront of it. So it's great. I love them.
And social anxiety.
Social anxiety is, overrated, dude. I hate having social anxiety. I get it a lot like at night now. Usually I'm good during the day, but by nighttime when I've had a full day and all these things, I'm like, I just want to go home, man. I just want to I got Taco Bell at midnight last night. That's probably not, great for the health, but no, I much prefer my time like to myself at night as opposed to going out now.
Got it. What is the biggest myth in sobriety that you can debunk?
That everything is going to change overnight once you start doing it. I think that yes, sobriety is great and it can help you in a lot of ways, but it can't fix you in a lot of ways. You have to, that's the first step. Then you put in the work. Then you potentially go to therapy, you go to meetings, you do all of these things and you can rebuild your life piece by piece. But just because you're like a month sober doesn't mean everything in your life will be fixed. All those relationships maybe that were fractured were fixed. Your health, it's all a learning process and it takes time, but it's a great first step.
Got it. What is one daily practice you swear by when it comes to going sober that most people wouldn't know?
Thinking about how chaotic my life was prior. Having those conscious thoughts because here's the thing, as an addict, I think about alcohol every single day.
Really?
Every day it enters my brain and I can choose to go down that path or I can choose to stay sober. And that's why they say, take it one day at a time. What was like the exact question again? Sorry, my brain is going crazy.
It's okay. What's one daily practice you swear by when it comes to going sober that most people wouldn't know?
So yes, honestly, thinking about it and denying it the ability to take over your brain, take over your life. And it's maybe that will go away one day. But for me, honestly, remembering the pain, the suffering, the hangovers, the late nights, the people I will never remember, even though we had a night together, all these things, like there were just so many negatives towards the end of my run, my drinking career, if you will, that it's good to remember those things as someone who thinks about it every day, because it gives me that confidence to never want to go back.
If I was to go sober tomorrow, what are the 3 most important things I need to know?
I think you need to know that not everything will be fixed overnight. I think you need to know that you need to prioritize yourself in the immediacy and in the future. It's a very solitary thing, getting sober. In AA, they say like you shouldn't date for the first year. I didn't really follow that well, but it's such a you thing. It is so very much a selfish act, but obviously for the betterment of yourself, right? So I would say learning how to be alone with your own thoughts and overcoming those dark thoughts is obviously huge. And maintaining physical health, so for me, right, my whole life revolved around drinking. I had other interests and other hobbies, but I just chose to use drinking as like really my main hobby outside of making enough money, being just a good enough employee to not get fired. So having
sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. Maintaining and or trying new things out in life is really key. I keep losing my train of thought. What are like the other things that I said? Of like
3 most important things.
Yeah. So like finding a hobby in life or maintaining it, learning new things every single day, and knowing that one thing will not fix your whole life, but fixing one thing will beget other fixable items in your life that will essentially, help you out. So yeah, I mean, in the last 16 months, I obviously quit alcohol, drugs. I quit coffee because I realized that coffee was making me more anxious than I ever needed to be. Right. And that was something I hadn't really thought of before. I've quit smoking and I've quit like negative/toxic people in my life. So you fix this like one big overall thing. And I'm telling you, your brain changes and you're able to differentiate between the good and the bad in your life, basically.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'll dig into more of that later on in the full episode.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's really solid. What's the best piece of advice you've received and how did you apply it to your life?
You have the ability to make the choices based on external stimuli that you get to be positive or negative, and it always will hurt more to be negative than positive, right? So anything that occurs outside of your control, you have the ability to control how you respond to it. And I, for 98% of the time, choose to be positive about it, try to put a positive spin on it. Even if it's something like, my mother's and my childhood home burned down this past winter, right? Obviously, tragic situation for my parents who worked their entire lives, to my mom and my stepdad to, live in their dream neighborhood, in their dream house, their forever home, right? A terrible situation. How can I think positively in that situation, right? Well, I, went to clothing drives. I tried my best to use my voice on social media to raise money and just, make the effort, right? While that doesn't fix anything, it is my best way to take a very negative thing, try to become a positive member of society and the thinking of it and the reaction to it and, move on. I also think like, if this is an old adage, but if you're not going to think about it in 5 years, don't give it 5 minutes. That's really the other like really good piece of advice that I've come to, because dwelling or holding grudges, fam, I'm looking in the camera, that shit doesn't work. It doesn't help. It will never help. So be positive. Don't dwell. Gabagool.
I did a podcast with a guy called Struthless. He's a YouTuber and he talks about reframing negative experiences. And one of his things that he journals on is when there's something really difficult and painful, he'll ask himself, how could this have been the best experience I've ever had? And it was really interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, thinking about what could make what just happened be the best experience he ever had. And he went sober as well. And he spoke about, this one hangover where he was like, I'm done with this. And he said that to himself. And he was like, if this is the last time I ever drink, this hangover is the best thing that could ever happen.
That's exactly what happened to me. I went on like a 72-hour bender and it changed my life for the better. Right. So it's spinning like really where I was rock bottom, like, the worst I've ever felt in my life, both mentally and physically. And it is sprouted out basically a new life for myself. So yeah, spinning any of those negatives into a positive is huge for mental health, of course.
Yeah. And what's the nicest thing someone's ever done for you?
When I was 11, my parents split up and I went to live with my dad full-time in Austin, Texas. My mother, who I speak to every single day and love so much, made a ginormous sacrifice in her life to stay in California and have her job that she worked her entire career to get to a position, because they didn't work that well as a couple, but they were great parents individually. And the sacrifice my mom had to make to not see me grow up every single day, I know killed her inside, but for her to, you know, be able to help my father and I financially from a distance, be there from a distance, but also, you know, not be able to see me grow up it was so saddening to her. And so I look at her and our relationship today, which is so super strong. And I'm really proud of her for that. And I'm also really proud of my dad for being an excellent single father in a new place with new rules. And, you know, I mean, going from LA to Austin, Texas, now it doesn't seem that crazy, but in 2006, we were kind of that first wave of people that did that. And so I really like the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. And maybe it's cliche to say my mother and my father, but the way I was raised was irregular to anyone around me in my life. And they both stayed very strong in doing so. And I think, you know, despite my troubles in my adulthood, I've come out of that very well, thanks to them.
How does it impact the way you make decisions and show up in the world?
Oh God, this is like therapy, huh, man? I think that my dad was like the one who taught me the 5 years, 5 minutes, the choose to be positive about these things. I think I take from both of them in my personality. Really, I'm someone that needs to slow down to make those right decisions. And I think from them, I got an introspection that maybe, I don't know how others, you know, do decision making, but I was taught, take in information, do the research on that information, formulate your own opinion, right? So like in the grand scheme of like politics, I think that has been really lost as far as talking heads and everything like that. And I think in just day-to-day conversation or just walking through this world, not enough people are doing the actual critical thinking necessary to be a good human being, right? I'm taking the example of like headline reading or politics, but really it's a life like lesson to be able to digest and make your own opinion based on your own morality, your own character, what you've learned, what you've been through, and your own research. So I think from them, it's that I really like got that down pat, which I'm proud of.
It's a good skill in the modern world.
I think so. Yeah. You don't want to be too snappy. You don't want to make too many snappy decisions. That was like a whole thing when I was drinking. I didn't have a lot of impulse control. It was like two different worlds. When I was sober, I was great. And then when I was drinking, everything was moving so fast, and I liked it that way because it got me out of my brain, my like anxiety and depression that I have when I'm sober. And it was great until it wasn't, until it stopped working basically.
Yeah. Switching gears, teach me one New York City history tidbit that everyone should know that lives here.
That Brooklyn was its own city before 1898, and then it became the fifth borough of New York City. I don't think a lot of people know that. I think we've always thought of Brooklyn as a part of New York City, but it was its own thing as recent as 1898, which is, you know, approaching the 20th century. And it was a hotly debated thing. And, you know, maybe some people still would probably like to have Brooklyn as their own city, you know, now living there. But yeah, that's one that came to my head immediately. Is there a juicier one? It's
an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Here's a good one. Seneca Village was where Central Park is now. And it was the first African-American settlement in New York City, largely African-American settlement. And the people who created Central Park, I believe it's either 1854 or 1864, I can't quite remember, told them to get lost and displaced thousands of freed slaves or just free black men and women and children from this area, and you know, they went their separate ways, and that really wasn't discovered until the like 80s and 90s. And now there's some plaques around Central Park and everything, but I think it's really important to know that when you talk about New York City history, you're also talking about Black history. And you know, even in the free North, we still we're not treating these people with the respect that they deserved.
Okay. Switching gears again.
Yeah.
What are the top 3 underrated restaurants in Manhattan that are too good to share?
Casa Momo is incredible. It's a tapas place in Gramercy, right near Pete's. Unbelievable. Like truly one of the best meals I've ever had. I solo dined there. I solo dine there all the time. It's awesome. Holic Thai Bistro is in Crown Heights. I don't know if you asked about Manhattan specifically.
Fine.
Holic Thai Bistro, Crown Heights. Really like dope vibe in there. They're playing music. They're hanging out. The food comes quickly, but it's so good. Probably the best Thai I've had in New York City. It's a little off the beaten path, but trust me, Holic Thai, Crown Heights, you can't go wrong. And then I would say Wild Air on the Lower East Side. I'm a big seafood fan. So Wild Air has a lot of different types of, like not the most popular of the seafoods, right? And the names that you hear, you know, like the Branzinos, the skates, like I didn't know what a skate fish was until I ate there, and it was incredible. So yeah, those 3 should be on y'all's list.
All right, I'll see you on the other side.